You
Hey,
know,
well,
you know.
I know what you did. I know what you did. But you know what?
Hey, it's
This is how
Monday,
we look out
man.
for one another.
It's Monday. It's Monday. For y'all that don't realize, I played the wrong intro for this.
Yep.
Hey, see, I was gonna let that go over, but y'all know
No,
what?
You
I have
said
to. Hey,
something.
I take ownership. So
Hey, to everybody that's tuned
Yep.
in, welcome to the sit down.
Hey, see, that's what Mondo and Quee did to me. See, they got me all blustered and stuff because I'm standing up there for 15 minutes arguing with them about left or right. So,
That's
see what
hey,
y'all did?
but that's how we know how to ad lib. But hey, for those of you who are tuned in, welcome to the sit down. And of course, you know I'm your man Rod Love. We got on the screen with us. I'm not even gonna call him Huggy Bear tonight. That is the Doc Polite. Doc, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. I'm
Hey,
doing good.
and to my far left, we have none other than the lady who keeps it all together. We talking about Sister Win.
Good
Sister, how you doing this
evening.
evening?
Good, good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. We have two guests in the studio with us this evening, and boy, I tell you, for those of y'all don't cry tonight, but we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna learn some things from this conversation. But it brings me nothing else but pleasure and a joy to introduce Miss Peterson. And Miss Peterson, go ahead, Amando. I'm gonna give you a raise tonight. Y'all can't see the engineer, but the engineer doing his job. But Miss Peterson is with bereaved mothers.
Bereaved Mother's Day event is what I'm hosting.
What you okay? And you know what, Miss Wynn, you say you looked it up and it's a day on the calendar too, right?
Yes, yes. I did not know that until Miss Peterson had mentioned it to me. Is it the second
It's
Sunday
the first Sunday in
in
May.
May?
Okay, well I'm learning. I'm learning something. But then we also have with us, and you know, everybody talk about certain people who are marketing geniuses. Well, I had to look at the monitoring screen to realize Miss Humphrey with Surviving Diamonds. Hey, she marketing her. Hey, you know, you don't have to dog. What they say, you don't have to get ready if you stay
Stay
ready.
ready.
So you come in here ready.
Yes.
So I want
Yes.
to thank our guests for being here, Miss Peterson and Miss Humphrey. So with that, we're gonna dive right into it. And I was asking Miss Wynn, tell me the story because I mean when we talk about bereaved mothers, yeah, we get it, but I also want to go a little deeper and find out one, how did you two come to know each other?
Golda and I, we actually go to the same church, and I found out, I guess recently, that she had lost a son. When I started this event, someone was saying, "Hey, you should reach out to Golda," and that's when she told me about her Surviving Diamond organization. So we've known each other now for a few years.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you know, tell me, and I you know I'm uncomfortable with diving into it because of the topic. I've never had a topic that I was so uncomfortable with just saying, hey y'all, tell us what's happening. But the only way I can do this is to dive
Ask.
into it
Yes.
and ask.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
can you share your story with us first, please?
Yes. Uh, August 29th of 2022, I lost my son, my only son, who at the age of 32. He was married and had one young son. Losing him, I lost I would say my daughter-in-law and my grandson at the same time
Mm-hmm.
because they actually moved back to their hometown of Texas. Um, but I'm thankful because she did allow him to stay here with me a little longer,
Mm-hmm.
so it didn't rip everything away from
Man.
me. But my son passed away from having seizures, and he didn't develop seizures until he was in the military, so that was part of his discharge. He was honorably discharged. So when he came home, he had to deal with that, and then eventually he, passed away from.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss, but something that you said,
Sorry.
I just really have to get my arms around when you talk about the church, a place that really puts its arm around all of us,
Yes.
especially when we're in, when we're in need of just trying to reason why about a lot of things that take place in our life. So, man, you and Miss Humphrey met, and how did y'all start navigating where you are today?
as far as navigation, when you talk about the church, my faith comes first. And it's because of my faith, it got me through. I'm gonna say something you're probably not gonna hear a lot of mothers say, but I actually had a bit of gratitude to God for even allowing me to become a mom. So my first take was, thank you, God.
Yeah.
Thank you for at least allowing me to be called mom for 32 years because somebody else wasn't able to say that.
You're right.
So my faith is what got me through my journey and is keeping me.
And you know this is
Every
gonna be
day is
therapy.
not the same.
You're right. You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
But this is gonna be therapy for some folk that are watching this program. Miss Humphrey, can you share with us? And like I said, this is one of the topics, and I know Doc is gonna give me some therapy afterwards. But this is one of the topics that I've never had to address. And so, can you tell us your story?
Well, my son was 23. He was attending once upon a time Grambling State University studying sports medicine, kinesiology. And he had gotten this young lady, they had gotten together and they had a baby. And so he decided he would move to Chicago. So when he got to Chicago, then one particular weekend, he was going to go to Des Moines, Iowa, to celebrate a college friend's graduation. And my son wasn't there really 48 hours before he was murdered. My son was a victim of a homicide, and in a strange place he'd never been. And the only person that he knew or thought he knew was the young man that he went to celebrate his graduation. Next month, April 28th, will be 12 years. Absolutely no justice. The Polk County Sheriff's Department in Des Moines, Iowa, they really don't reach out to me. I got legal counsel with the Benjamin Crump, and absolutely nothing came out of that. I was told that my son's murder is a mystery. Now, if I hired you, if it's a mystery, shouldn't you be working on the mystery? So that's when I just got to a point, I said, okay, God gave me a vision. And he came from Habakkuk too. And he said, write the vision down and make it plain. And that's what I did. And that's when I came up with Survive the Diamond. And the organization is about a diamond. And I had to explain to the women that where a diamond comes from, where you have to go down low to get what you need to form this diamond. And also, the diamond has to go through pressure. It has to go through cutting. It has to go through clarity. There's several colors of diamonds. And that's when I decided to get the women together, because you may have a woman over here that's Spanish, one over here that's black, one over here that's brown, one over here that's red. I mean, regardless of the fact, but diamonds come in all colors. And we all of us women, we are diamonds, and we have been down low. And for me and my sister to be sitting here tonight, it's a prime example that we were down low, but gradually we're coming up. We've been cut, we've been chipped, we've been tested, we've been brought to basically the showroom now. We're in the cabinet. You know what I'm saying? You can look at us now, and not that we're at the finish line, because we will never be at the finish line. Never be. You will never be. And again, I just want to thank Selena for considering me to bring me here tonight, and So as you can see, I have my surviving diamond shirt on here because I'm a surviving diamond. And eventually I trust God because with my faith that justice will be served for my son. And I just thank you all for having me here this evening.
Well, thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank
Here's something, and Doc and Miss Wynn, y'all jump in here, but here's something that I would ask. I would ask for women who've been through, who has the same experience, because it's not something you've been through. I would imagine that it always stays with you.
Yes.
But listening to you all, it has to be therapeutic to listen to somebody who's still living that pain. What will they get from the brunch? Because I know one of the things I'm thinking, it's a support group without even thinking about anything
Yes,
else. Definitely
yes.
a support group, but what else do you hope that people will leave with?
I hope they know that they're not alone. We feel so alone when we're walking this life. You know, I have a great husband. He's supportive. My family, very supportive. If they think something is wrong, they're calling, right? But there's not always that invitation. There's not always where I wanna, I don't cry. For me, I don't cry out loud. You would never know I had a bad day because I separate myself. And maybe I'll go to the gravesite and grieve. But I want these young ladies to know that they're not alone. I want you to know that we're gonna gather together because on Mother's Day, no, we can't even express how we feel on Mother's Day. And not to say that I feel like we're being looked over, but I don't think that people know what to say. They don't know what to say, and then maybe they say the wrong thing to some, maybe they say the right things to others. I was telling this, a friend of mine that I met through, she saw the advertisement, and I said, I ignore a lot of people comments. I said, I let people slide, I just ignore it because I want to think they come from a different place.
Yeah.
She said, well, I cussed out a lot of people. She was letting nothing slide.
That's the way she been. Okay.
That's what she meant.
Right. And
But-
sometimes you have to.
And so here's a place, and I have people asking, can anyone come? No, it's not an open invitation because I might as well just had a regular Mother's Day event.
Right.
Because I had a sister look at me, I'm smiling, shaking hands at church, and she stopped me. She said, "What, the same smile I do?" She lost her only child as well.
Man.
So we stood in
Wow.
silence for a good 15 seconds. Nothing said.
Programs.
Wow.
Nothing said. And we communicated in those 15 seconds that shared pain.
Wow.
So in this room is only going to be grieving moms and grandmother, because my mom set me straight on that. So grieving moms, bereaved moms and bereaved mothers, because I know that the person sitting next to me, if I shed a tear, she knows exactly what I'm doing. And then if you were there, you're going to try to hug it out of me. You're going to pat it out of me because you don't want to see my tears.
Right.
But I want my tears to flow because I'm thinking in honor of my son. And it's okay for me to have my moment.
Right.
So this is an event that no one but us bereaved moms who can share. We have shared journeys. We're bonded by our pain. And again, like she said, no one is going through this the same way, but at the same time, we both are suffering from a loss. Whether it be the only child or the 5th child or the 10th child, it does not matter. Pain is pain.
Right.
You're right.
Well,
Go ahead, Miss Wayne. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
where is the event going to be held? What date, time, and where is it located?
Yes, so it's gonna be May 3rd, which is the first Saturday instead of that Sunday. It's gonna be at the Winter Park Community Center, located at 721 West New England Avenue in Winter Park. And the time that it's gonna start is 10:30 to 1 p.m.
Well, one of the things, because we have a number of organizations that come in and want to tell their story. I will say this, and I'm going to say this on behalf of my partner that co-hosts our 7 o'clock Let's Talk Nation. One of the things that we are going to do, we're going to go ahead and fund 5 of those slots for you.
Thank you.
No. Thank you for what you're doing, because what the both of you are doing, and I just find it so interesting, and I'll say this and get it off my chest. Both of you told the story about your losses. They're totally and completely different, different stories, different walks. Yours is a mystery, as you mentioned. Then yours is one that, I mean, you never imagined it taking place, but it takes place, and I love something that you said. You were appreciating the time that you had, and so I'm hoping that those five, that Let's Talk Nation sponsors, that those folks that show up, hopefully this will give them some therapy and the support that they need.
Yes. And let me add, at the event, we will have 2 counselors
Okay.
at the event as well. So they'll be there to help.
As she and I were in the lobby talking, I said, you know, there are seasoned grieving mothers that didn't have the opportunity to sit and talk. You know, as black people, we're taught, sweep it up and keep it moving. Can you imagine like women out there 70, 80 years old, never had a
Yeah,
chance
yeah.
to actually express anything, and some die of a broken heart because they never had a chance to.
You know what? And I gotta say this. Doc is I mess with him all the time. But from a counseling perspective, Doc is the person who gives us the therapy that we need, and not the therapy of loss. But I've heard Doc talk. He does marital counseling, and him and his wife does some other type of counseling. But when I hear you two, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, man, 2 strong women that are coming here to share their story and to think about how therapeutic it's going to be for somebody else who don't know how to ask for help.
You know, she touched on something that's so prevalent in our culture. This idea that grieving has a time limit. And I've had to deal with that with clients where grief was part of the underlying problem. And so often it's presented as fear on the part of the other person. They don't know how to address you. And the truth is, there is never a limit on how long you grieve. And folks don't understand it. They don't know how to, you know, deal with that when, you know, um, you lost your son 12 years ago. Okay. It's okay to still grieve. That was your son. There is a loss that until the time you leave this earth, it'll still be a loss. That person lived and was part of your life, and it's okay. And that's something in our culture we got to start promoting and teaching, that it's okay to grieve as long as you need to grieve. Now, well, a counselor will tell you the problem in it is when it inhibits you from doing anything else. That's when it becomes a problem. When you stop functioning in other areas of your life. But you know, you're gonna grieve. You
Doc,
know,
let me do this real quick, Doc. For those of you who are watching the show, if you want to share your story or if you have any questions for our guest, that phone number is 407-921-6195. Doc, I know you'll have it streaming across the screen momentarily, but here's something I want to ask both of you. How did you know when you needed to really talk to somebody to get help or to do nothing else other than, like you were saying, you give people passes. The other young lady would just curse my, I mean, and it's a way that people express themselves. I'm trying to teach my daughters now about emotional intelligence. Sometimes we can't help what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. And I'm not saying that the young lady who goes off on folk, that's wrong. I'm not, because that might be her way of getting it out. But how did either one of you know when you really needed to have a conversation or to vent or to get help?
I've never sought help
No?
as of yet. I think this year I felt the need to seek counsel. Again, I had not before then, and I think because for the first time, I was not able to go to my son's grave after his birthday. And I was there on a regular basis. And once I left there after his birthday, I couldn't even turn in. But I could not explain why. I've been gone all this time, and now I just can't get myself to go. And I didn't go until maybe a couple weeks ago. And the flowers that my grandson, because they came for Christmas, the stems were still there. Normally I would
Yeah.
clean it up and all this.
Yeah.
So now I'm feeling maybe I need to talk to someone because where is this coming from? I don't know.
Well,
So I think
it sounds like something is unresolved, and this is a good time for you to go to a counselor if you're dealing with something. You know, I'm a parent that lost a child. She passed when she was 11, and it comes on you in a moment. If I had did, why didn't I do that? And we can sometimes guilt ourselves and burden ourselves with that. And that might have been a part, I haven't talked to you, so I'm just kind of speculating. This is not a diagnosis or anything. But oftentimes when we have something unresolved, uh, doing that, facing that person can become problematic. It's like we hit a wall because it's still unresolved in the back of our mind. So I would talk to a counselor, but you need to talk to a counselor that specializes in grievance. It's very different than mental health counseling. In fact, when I worked in drug addiction and I had people dealing with grieving, I would send them out for services because I didn't cover that. That wasn't my focus and and dealing with their therapeutic issues. Because grieving, it takes a special person to do grief counseling. It really does. So kudos for you recognizing that and going that path.
Ms. Humphries, can you tell us? I mean, and let me back up. When I responded the way I did, that was reflex because I'm constantly listening to Doc in my ear telling me, don't get counseling from somebody who shouldn't be counseling.
Right.
But then the other side of it is sometimes and a lot of times some of us don't know that we need to seek help. But then on the other side, which I'm not going to discredit one little bit, and this is for the men in particular. When we go and we seek help and we're dealing with some issues and maybe issues of loss or maybe not, but what we do is I call Bernard. Hey man, come on, let's go.
Right.
Let's go light up some sticks or something. You know, and let's go fishing.
Right.
And we might not say a whole word while we're out there fishing, but it's that fellowship.
It doesn't go anything.
You know, that, man, I got these fellas that will come when I call. And so I can appreciate that. But I will still say, women have been the backbone of, and most people, you hear most people say the black community, I'd say the community period. So I can't do anything but take my hats off to both of you and support you.
I want to ask Ms. Humphrey, with your Surviving Diamond, what other things do your organization do? Do you go out and speak at venues or what other?
Well, actually, I think it was June the 3rd last year was when I did the actual ribbon cutting.
Okay.
And a group of ladies came out, and it was, this guy was asking me, he was like, well, who are you gonna invite to a thing like this? I said, listen, these tell me names I have written here? He said, yes. I said, I know every one of them. And every one of them have lost children, if not 2 or 3 children. I know this.
Wow.
So they came out and we cut the ribbon, but I was explaining to Selena that I also want to be there for families, like when they're going through as far as supply food and take maybe the repast foods out for the family, or the morning before the service set up a breakfast buffet at a specific house. I also want to cater to if they left any children with a Christmas toy drive or Thanksgiving baskets and things like that. And then I also explained that I wanted to do an annual Christmas party where the families come together, the mothers, the children, if the fathers are present. I mean, but I was speaking to her because everybody I've been running into, it's been a dead end. Like, they'll tell me they're gonna, but it's a dead end. So really, I've been toiling with this thing now for a good little while, trying to get it off the ground. But it's a couple different things, like I said, I wanted to do to just make it easier on the families.
Right.
Because I've been there. And to get back to your question, I have a younger daughter, well, when my son was 23, my daughter was 15, and then I have a son that's 13. We immediately started counseling. Like, immediately started counseling because at the time, my 13-year-old, he drank bleach because he was so distraught about his brother. So it's like, no, we got to, because devil, I see you. I see you. You know what I'm saying? I've lost over here. You're trying to creep in over here. I recognize what you're trying to do. But counseling is, we were going to something called Begin Again. And there were several parents that'll come in. You have a room for the parents. And then they would take, there were siblings who would take them in the back. And then they would work in there. But it was really, really helpful. It helped you to see things that, because with grief is tricky. Grief will literally try to make you feel like you're losing your mind. And it's one thing, we lose parents, we lose parents, we lose grandparents, but losing a child is something totally different. Because you think about from the day that you learn that you had conceived, you're already nurturing and protecting and taking care of. And then people say all the time, parents are not supposed to bury their children. Do we know if that's true or not? Because it's obviously, do we know? We don't know if that's fact, because it can't be fact because we're doing it. A lot of us are doing it, and I just want to say that counseling, I would recommend it highly, but like you said, it's got to be someone that.
Yeah, that's good. I got another question. How has your relationships changed? Do you find that you've lost friends because of what happened and how you were dealing with it?
Oh, I'm a loner. Since my son grieved, I'm pretty much a loner because, like she said, people sometimes they don't know what to say, and sometimes they may say the wrong thing, and just to keep yourself grounded as possible. I just don't.
Were you a loner before then?
No.
So what's the benefit of being alone now?
I think it keeps me. I feel safe. I feel safe, and the reason why I said that is because my son was a people person, and when he went out to be with these people came back and never told me the truth. I've never gotten the truth out of these people that he considered to be
So
trustworthy.
is it a loner now, or is it a trust issue?
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, and it all boils down to a trust
Yeah.
issue.
Okay. So
No, I want to hear.
What?
I want to hear. Ms. Peterson, I want to hear your
Let-
story.
let me-
How has this? Because
let
you
me-
just taught me something, and Doc pointed it out. You're not so much a loner as you have sat back and you're not as trusting
Okay.
as you were.
Right.
And that has built this shield around you from my perspective. And I'm not a counselor, so.
and that's why I was getting at, because this is something to bring up to your counselor. This is a what's called a presenting problem. Okay, why? Because it's changed your life You used to be an outgoing people person. Now you're an introvert. You're alone and everything. And is that really healthy? If you were one way and now you're completely something different, and it could be your way of avoiding dealing with the fact that the death is not resolved in a manner that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
want to.
Well, I was
So,
going, go ahead, Doc.
but this is um, not beneficial to you. It's changed who you are, and you don't want to allow that. Would your son want you to be this introvert person that now is off by themselves and and dealing with it? And we often think that we are a burden in those situations, but you know, I want to say this. We as a people struggle with learning how to let others love us. I had this conversation with my aunt over the weekend. She's dealing with some issues, and she was like, "Oh, I don't want to be a bother and all that." No, you're not a bother. You're my aunt. Of course, I'm going to be concerned. Of course, I'm going to be there. That's what family does. I don't need to qualify my love for you. I have that love because we've always been in each other's life. Okay, but we find it when we are facing crisis, we often struggle with the idea of letting ourselves be weak and others carry us. Don't do that. That's very unhealthy.
Doc, phrase that same question because Ms. Peterson, I want to hear from your perspective as well.
So I have the total opposite.
Okay.
I have people that I know have just been there for me at the drop of a dime. And I can't explain it, but I never stopped. When my son passed, every day I got up and I said, what do I do? And the answer was move forward. Put one foot in front of the other. And even on my weekdays, I wake up, say, God, what do I do? Because I don't want to think today, I don't want to think about tomorrow. So when that day came, I said, what do I do? You have no choice but to keep putting one foot in front of the other. I'm the realtor, so that came, still showing houses, still showing up for appointments. And, I just kept going and kept going. And I heard somebody say, oh, that couldn't be me. And it almost took my breath away because it takes everything. It takes everything. And as much as it appeared that I was moving forward without a problem, it took prayer that morning. You understand? So yes,
It's very interesting that you guys are on the extreme ends of the same spectrum. You're immersing yourself um, in the world, and she's withdrawn from the world. You guys see that? You see the contrast in what how you're dealing with um, your grief. Now, here's the thing, though. It doesn't matter. It does not matter because that's the way you need to function in it right now. But don't lose yourself. It's always about balance in life. Don't go to one extreme and swing to the other. So talk to your counselors and let them know. Be honest with them. A lot of people, like, you won't get to the truth to like the eighth session because people have this. They keep everything in, and by the time you built that therapeutic bond, it may be time for you to re-up. Most insurance does 8 to 12 sessions, and then they got to renew and all of that kind of stuff. Well, it can take some time. It takes time, but please talk to your therapist. Be honest. I'm telling you right now. As soon as you go in the door, blab your mouth. Tell them everything, everything you're dealing with, because that can help them right then begin to address the underlying problems that you may not even be aware are impacting your life.
Hey, May the 3rd, and this is going to take place at 721 West New England Avenue. What's the name of it? It's in Winter Park.
Winter Park Community Center.
Winter Park Community Center. And the opportunity for 55 women to come together, to have a support group. And the thing that you also mentioned that I love is the fact that you're going to have professionals there that if it becomes too much for somebody, they can get counseling right there. What really inspired you to do this brunch?
well, last year, on that same Sunday that's designated for grieving moms, I started, I was in my feelings because Mother's Day was approaching. And so I just started at Facebook, of course. I said, gotta be a group on here. It has to be someone talking about Mother's Day coming up. I can't be the only one. And that's when I found out about the Bereaved Mother's Day. Like, it was an actual day designated for us. And so I got to looking into it, and there's several other places. Central Florida does not have it,
No.
that actually does these brunches. So if you go online to, I think Ashes for Foundations or something of that nature, they host an event that same weekend. There's an organization, or a church, I should say, up in Wisconsin, because I looked it up. They have a 2-day event.
Okay.
But there's other places that's actually, embracing this new community, not new community, but this unique community of bereaved moms that say, let's get together, let's talk about it. Let's, and sometimes just hearing someone else's story doesn't necessarily make you feel better, but you can relate.
Relate, yeah, yeah.
You're right.
So that makes it, a little bit bearable for us,
I think that's something that you hit a nail on. They can relate.
Yes.
See, some individuals you can't relate to because you have not been in that situation. All you can do is, like you say, pat them on the back, say it's gonna be okay, grieve, but you really don't know until you stand in that mom's shoes. And I think this event here is an excellent event.
I've already mentioned Let's Talk Nation is going to be supportive with 5 sponsorships. But as we go and we talk more about this, the relationships that Let's Talk Nation has with the faith community, I'm going to challenge the faith community to reach out to you. 5 slots. 5 slots is $175. I'm gonna also challenge somebody that you know, Miss Sister Wynn, the president of the South Apopka Ministerial Alliance, Pastor King. I'm gonna challenge you, Pastor King, with your alliance to match me with 5 additional slots. And those pastors that are out there, the other alliances that are out there, this is something that, as a community, I believe we need to support. And I'm gonna be talking to your cousin too. Hey, I'm gonna get one slot out of him, I know. But we're just grateful to both of you, and we're not to the end of the show yet. But I want to say this: thank both of you, because I've learned something out of this. I would also say this has been one of those shows that I've never found myself uncomfortable talking.
Oh, wow.
And so let me ask both of you individually, what would you say to people who like myself, that don't know what to say? I mean, I've been brought up to the point that, yes, I say I love you, and I'll say I'm sorry for your loss, but I know both of you experienced, you saw people after your loss, and it just made it obvious, like I was making it. I didn't know what to say. What do you say to those people?
I mean, it's tricky. Like you say, it's tricky. You don't really know what to say. And a lot of times, even me, I'm a grieving mom. She's a grieving mom. I don't even know what to say to her. Because that was her son.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And this was my son.
Right.
And so, to be totally honest, all you can do is just
Show love.
That's it.
Show love.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
because it's different.
Yes.
It's different, and every day is different.
I have a friend that would say, come on, let's go. Like how you say, we'll just go fishing or go what, and to me, that's everything. You don't have to have the right words to say, and I don't want you to know what I'm feeling. But just saying, hey, let's go to Cheesecake Factory, if that's your favorite place. That's good. And let's talk about what, and they listen. So if I want to talk about my son, then it's okay. But they're not going to impose or like try to get it out of me, because they'll know if I'm ready. Because I'll just start talking about I remember my son did this. He was so funny,
Yeah.
you know. Or what, and they listen, and that's
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Hey, and do we know that the Cheesecake Factory is somebody's favorite?
We just heard.
We just heard that.
Hey, things come out when you get comfortable and you develop a trust with whatever environment you're in.
Mhm.
But you know, I have to say, let me ask this question. When you talk about bereaved mothers, and I didn't know till Miss Wynn told me that it's an actual day of observance. What about bereaved fathers?
She said that.
I had that conversation.
My son's father, although we're not together, is not still today not taking it very well at all. Um, but like you said before, I think it's harder for men to get together because they're not going to cry on each other's shoulder.
Yeah,
They're
you're
just
right.
not going to do it.
Now you're giving some counseling right now.
Yeah.
They're not. So, some fathers will because they want to be supported, and they're probably left with those children, with the other children
Right.
that have, dealing with the loss of their sibling. You know,
You know, you sitting here telling the truth, right?
yeah.
Go ahead, Miss Wynn.
No, that's what I was going to ask Ms. Thompson. How is your kids doing?
My daughter is 27 now. My son is 24. They're doing pretty good. But when it gets close to April 28th, which is in a few weeks, we seem to, I was telling her by now I would be so on edge, but it's just something about this year I'm a little more. I guess because I finally stepped out and did what God told me to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm putting myself in motion to work toward this organization that God has shown me. But my daughter, what we're doing one day at a time.
Hey Doc, I gotta ask you something, and Miss Peterson already kind of shaped this for us, and you know what it is I'm about to ask you. And we got 5 minutes left, so abbreviate it. But Doc, why is it hard for men? And yeah, we know the macho, testosterone, and all that stuff. But Doc, when do we cross that bridge?
The honest answer, because men are beat up for being vulnerable.
Wow.
I would agree.
When men show emotions or show that they're vulnerable, oftentimes they are beat on. Why are you crying? You're a man. You're supposed to suck it up, and they really get it harsh. So we don't feel okay with the emotional release. That's why I thank God for my wife. I mean, it's when you have that woman that understands that, it's incredible because you're able to be weak in a moment because you're human, not because you're a man, but because you're a human, and your
that's why
person
Doc is
understands
Dr.
that.
Phil of the show.
So that's why men don't. Men are about trust. When it comes to emotions, we need to really trust you to be vulnerable. And this is why I used to go because we don't feel vulnerable with you. We can't tell you how we really feel because later on in an argument, y'all remember stuff from 1976.
Hey, Doc,
It's gonna
Doc,
come
do you
up.
see the truth coming out?
It's gonna come up.
Miss
Yeah, I
Peterson,
remember last year when you was crying like a little punk. You was a little punk last year. Now you all big and bad. So that's what it is. No, let me tell you how I got here. And it wasn't until about 5 years old, 5 years ago, I really understood the love between me and my wife. I lost all my teeth. These are all implants. Hush. But I took care of my teeth, but it's some underlying medical issues that I had. They had to take them out. And the day that they pulled all my teeth, it was like a death. And I came out and I just started boohoo crying like a baby. And my wife didn't question my manhood or anything. She just hugged me and loved on me. And I understood in that moment, this is my helpmeet. This is my life, complete life partner. I mean, I always loved her, but let me know I could be vulnerable completely with her with my emotions.
That is why Doc has a level of expertise that I just say go run with that show. And Doc, that's his area. We all have our lanes, and I know mine too. But we're winding down, and what I want to do is give both of you the opportunity to leave our audience with some parting words. And Ms. Humphrey, I want to start with you first. And if you would, look at that red light, and if it's something you want to get off your chest, if it's somebody you want to reach out to or help, just look at that red light and let yourself go.
I just want to say thank you again for having me on the show this evening. And Surviving Diamonds is an organization that we don't judge. We come together, we talk, we laugh, and we communicate. And we help each other to understand that diamonds come from the rough. And once you come from the rough, you will make it eventually to display, and we will survive one day at a time.
Surviving Diamonds.
Surviving Diamonds.
Good, excellent. Ms. Peterson,
Great show.
yeah, Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
talk to us. Look at that red light and
All right. So I want to say to the moms that may be hesitant to attend these events, because I have come across some moms that, in fear of, being sad that day, or, bringing up maybe some sad feelings or bad feelings or what have you. I promise you, this event is just to come to honor you, your motherhood, and your child. We have some awesome things lined up. Again, this is our first event. It is minimized to 55 people, but next year we're going to double or maybe triple that.
Yes.
But we are here for everyone that wants to come out, and please, only if you're ready, because there's no pressure. Only if you're ready, come out and join us, and you'll have a good time. Thank you.
thank you too. Ms. Peterson, Ms. Humphrey, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing with us. And also to our Let's Talk Nation and the Sit Down audience, we bring you value. We bring you individuals here who are sharing of their heart. And for that, we are definitely grateful.
Thank you.
Doc Polite, Sister Wynn, until next Monday, y'all don't have to go home. But you got to do what?
Get out of here.
Get out of here. Thank you. Hey,
Wait,
until
wait,
next
wait,
week.
wait. Nah, why we gotta? Oh, ladies, your Facebook page. Do you have one? Let the audience know, please.
Mine is just Selena Peterson. That's where you will find the flyer.
Okay.
Selena spelled Selena. Last name
Okay.
Peterson.
And my Facebook is Golda Humphrey, and you'll
Okay.
see Surviving Diamonds.
Y'all share it with Let's Talk Nation. Let's get the word
We'll
out.
post it.
It's a
Will
good.
do.
Yeah.
Hey,
All
once
right.
again, thank y'all for joining us. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Until
Thank you.
next Monday on the Sit Down, hey, please tune in and join us then. We'll see you next week.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.